What I've got for you today is a best of 5 series of ZERG versus Terran that was recently played in the European regionals of the StarCraft 2 Masters. Now I'm very excited to introduce to you the man right here in the top left-hand corner of game number 1. Playing with the blue ZERG drones, we have none other than Bly. Now supposedly Bly is pretty much retired from the game, but he comes back every once in a while and he seems to do quite well. The thing is, his opponent today, with the red SCVs, we have, well, the player who's actually currently the #1 in the world, according to Aligulek. We're looking at none other than Clem's main command center. Apparently we're starting off with a proxy hedge. So what I just did, basically the regional tournaments just wrapped up and ESL released a gigantic replay pack with over 100 hours worth of StarCraft 2 replays. I retweeted it too, by the way, if you're interested in checking out some of the games. But basically what I always do whenever there's like a massive replay pack available is I sort all of the files to file size first. And I noticed that I think it's 2 games out of this best of 5 series. They are stupidly long. I think they're both over 30 minutes in duration. And for some reason it's between these two. Now, I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever, but in my mind, this is a bit of a mismatch. We have somebody who barely plays the game, although I love watching him play because he goes for the craziest strategies. And then we have the man who's currently one of the absolute best players in the game. Shouldn't Clem be able to make quick work of Bly? I have no idea. He certainly is the favorite going into this, but we all know that Bly is capable of throwing many curveballs, so I'm very excited to find out what ended up going down between these two. Obviously, Sarro has been kicked out of those rankings on Aligulek because he is currently doing his military service. I think you have to play like 1 tournament match every 2 months or so to be considered eligible. But I'm assuming as soon as Sarro plays like 1 game, even if he loses, he would probably still be once again at the tippity top of that hill. Either way, currently, yeah, Mr. Clem. Certainly looking strong. Now, the Reaper is gonna scout and it will see that there is a hatchery on the right side. Fair enough. Roachwarren, however, just finished up at home, and I'm assuming we're gonna, yeah, exactly, turn all of these larvae over here into roaches. No queens, no shenanigans. Zerglings in the meantime, though, are gonna try and work on the SCV that is desperately trying to construct a bunker in the natural. Okay, they're gonna distract that Reaper for quite a while. Is this good enough, though, for Bly? So it takes 7 biles to kill a bunker. And it's gonna take a while before he gets to that point. Obviously, he can do some stutter step control. Okay, so he scouts over here with the Roach, even though he doesn't need to. Although, when you morph in a Ravager, it will spawn with full health again. Yeah, so he's just using it for tanking purposes here, which I think is kind of neat. Although, yeah, maybe we should have done that a little differently, because it was a bit too low in hit points. So far, so good right here for Clem, but this is not Bly giving up on this. Clem currently has no vision of the other side of the map, so he doesn't know exactly how much aggression there will ultimately be arriving on his side. Losing that first Roach, by the way, really does make this game a lot harder here for the Ukrainian Zerg. Microing backwards, trying his best. Oh, he does get the bunker here in the end. Good targeting. Is this good enough, though, for Bly? Because he needs to deal critical amounts of damage here. Problem is, he's only got 16 drones at home. He hasn't really made any. I mean, he made a couple at the start of the game, but that's about it. Just forcing the 1 base here for Clem is actually... I don't think that's quite enough. Oh my god, so many low HP Ravagers. Ugh. He does end up losing 1 more. Clem managed to save most of the workers, though. And I think actually, like, just... Oh, that doesn't do anything. Yeah. I think just forcing the low ground liftoff is not quite enough. Because now it's effectively 1 base versus 1 base. Although, that being said, Ravagers, of course, are... Yeah, I would probably consider them to be the best 1 base unit you can play. They don't require any upgrades, no roach speed or anything like that. They're just as powerful as they would be right now, as they would be at, like, minute 7. Yeah, problem here for Clem, right? So he's heavily oversaturated. He doesn't actually have all of his workers mining either. He's more than capable of just chilling here on the high ground and repairing this back up to full HP every time he needs. I'm fairly sure when you go up against Clem on the ladder, this is the type of stuff he plays against all day, every day. When he's playing against people that are considered to be a little bit lower ranked than him, I think this is what he goes up against on the daily. Still a scary amount of roaches, though. A couple Zerglings also show up, because apparently Bly wanted to go for, I think, some additional Ravagers. You need 75 gas, 25 minerals for each of them. And there is certainly a chance that he's going to be able to break through this. This is not an opener where... Oh, Siege Tank? Ah, that's going to deal a lot of damage. That one is basically out of range. There's no way that Bly is going to grab that. This is not an opener where Clem really is going to be able to go into quick benchies or anything along those lines, although a starport is going to come up. Okay. Bly faking the fact that he's backing off. He's not actually giving up on this at all. As a matter of fact, he's going link speed. Interesting upgrade to go for right now. It actually takes forever. When you're not getting it early, you don't quite realize how long link speed actually takes. Where you're going for an all-in and you're waiting for that entire upgrade to finish, you're in a lot of trouble. So, I think what Bly basically wants to do is fake him retreating, keep making non-stop army on the back of it, and then once more, give it one final shot, try to swarm the Terran. He's gonna have to wait, though. Oh, he's sprinkling in some bait as well. Yeah, that's an Overlord bait. He's like, come on, kill me. Come and kill me. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just come and kill the Overlord. Very ambitious little OV over here, by the way. He wants to get vision of where those siege tanks exactly are located. Soon there's going to be a third one, though. So I think Bly basically needs to go right here, right now. Okay, links are done. Link speed is finished, too. Overlord trying to create a bit of a distraction. Okay. Nah, there's no way. Nah, okay. Thought for a second the entire Terran army was going to get distracted trying to chase down that Overlord. It would have been the perfect bait. But I think Clem is going to be able to shut this down with ease now. Yep, there's about a gajillion moments where this can go horribly wrong for the Terran player, but I think Clem handled that very well. Alrighty. Next up, we find ourselves on post Youth. Cheeky little all-in right there from Bly in game 1. Is he gonna be playing macro? I don't think you want to against Clem. The thing is, Clem seems to be the favorite in basically any match he currently plays. Is there anybody out there that Clem struggles against? I mean, I haven't really seen Cyril now play for a little bit, but even just a couple months ago, I would probably give Clem like the 50-50 against Cyril. He's looking very dominant. Really, Bly. Okay. Anyways, other than that, I think I'd probably be favoring Clem against most everybody. Maybe Maru? Maru would maybe be like a very slight advantage for Maru, because Maru's TVT is ridiculous, but also quite difficult to say. I think against Max Specs, he's like a 60-40 favorite at least. Against Raynor, I think, yeah, Clem is a 60-40 favorite too, at least. The guy is on absolute fire at the moment. So what about this, Bly? What are we doing? I'm not even sure what to make of this. Are we once again gonna go for a roach cheese? Is that what we're doing? Problem with this one is that we're once again gonna go up that ramp. Although I guess you could bring a couple drones and mine out the mineral fields here on the left. Clem is gonna start making that in-base expansion. And that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of scratching my head at this. Because if we do see a very similar build here from Bly, it's gonna be worse because Clem will have a second base available. Clem is also gonna be very confused though, now that he gets to the other side.
The Grim Reaper has arrived.
What do we do here? Yeah, no. He's gonna now check the gold base again. Maybe his own gold? Yeah. Has he seen the creep? He has not seen the creep. He's checking every location except for the one where... This is awkward. Except for the one where Bly is actually set up right now. He does not see anything. Oh no. Roach Warren is about a third or so of the way done right here for Bly. Well, that's going to be a dead drone. But it's also occupying that Reaper for a long while, which is pretty good. Clem has been scouting everywhere, but he doesn't see anything. He will now see the Roachborn, I guess? Yeah, that puts 1 and 1 together. Although Bly did make a drone over here. Are we gonna go for a Spinecrawler rush? Like, what exactly is the plan? Because I think Clem is gonna be able to heavily outperform the ZERG here if he gets a second base up and running. Queen, very far boop from creep, okay. Cyclone coming up. Second barracks once again. So not opting to go for any sort of... Ooh, nice snipe. Not going into any sort of Banshee play or anything like that. I think he wants to mine out these skinny mineral fields. Oh, that's so cute. I have seen this work quite well when a Terran player did this. I'm trying to think of who that was. Anyways, there was a Terran player who dropped a mule on one of those mineral fields and effectively opened the front door of the Protoss base up. It's just that for ZERG, you need 4 trips. So these mineral fields, they have 20 resources in them each. A worker mines 5 resources a trip. How in the world are you gonna successfully complete 4 trips here? Got the tumor? Oh, he didn't have the lock on. But I think he might just be able to get it. Oh! Okay, well, not quite. He wants to. Doesn't get it. So I think Bly ultimately is just committing to the exact same build that he did in the previous game. Wasn't the original plan? It's just worse on this map, right? Exactly, because we're now mining from a second base. Although, to be fair, Bly is also mining from a second base. I can imagine this is the first time that Clem plays against something like this on post-youth. I think it's a little mean, by the way, to have Clem playing on a map called post-youth. Isn't Clem like 21 years old? Bly is probably like 32 at this point. You know, he's almost as old as I am. He's definitely post-youth. I don't know if it's cool. Yeah, no, I don't think we can really call Clem post-youth. That seems a little extreme. I guess most of the StarCraft community is post-youth, huh? Yeah. I'm post-youth, you're post-youth. We can all be post-youth together. Okay. I actually don't know how old Bly is. I'm gonna go look it up. I don't think he wants to commit here. Bly, Liquipedia. I think he is older than me. He's 35! That's definitely post-youth. Yeah, that's definitely post-youth. He's 35. He's born in the 80s. I believe that's back when the Beatles still used to tour. Yeah. Long time ago. Long time ago. So, what's the plan, Bly? What are we... We're parking. We're just parking our army here. Now, I like it from a aesthetic point of view, but I just don't see how this is ever going to work out favorably for the ZERG. Although, to be fair, you can see that Clem is also very hesitant actually making workers. In the meantime, Bly did take his own expansion. What we're in a very strange way looking at is just a gigantic bit of creep spread. That's essentially what Bly is doing. Yeah. He is spreading creep backwards from his opponent's side of the map. It's been a very elaborate job. It's taken him 6 minutes. But the arms of the creep are starting to reach back. You can tell that Clem is also a little hesitant, though, to go down the ramp. Because he also knows that going down the ramp is a dangerous decision. And that's what makes this surprisingly strong for Bly. Because what does Clem do now? Like, you kind of just awkwardly go down the ramp, but you also really don't want to get, you know, overwhelmed here by the swarm. Clem knows that his opponent did make an expansion at home because the Reaper went across, but that's really all he knows. He needs to be very careful, because 1-1 and Roach Speed are going to finish up. In a very weird turn of events, Bly did go into a lair and all of the upgrades. He's now going to go for his own gold base at home as well. Yeah, it's like Bly never got the memo as to what a main base is in StarCraft 2. He's like, main base? The whole map is my main base. What do you mean? He's just taking expansions left, right, and center. Honestly, 1-1 roach speed, oh, we're going burrow immediately too. Tunneling claws as well. This is not a fight that Clem is gonna win. In a straight up fight, sure, but it's not gonna be one where he can just march down the ramp and then... Nah, I don't believe it. In a weird way, I almost wonder if Clem should be opening up these mineral fields himself to create some more surface area. He's inviting Blight to the party. Clem right now oversaturated, by the way, for his 2 bases. Keep in mind that this is not a lot of Terran economy overall. He also doesn't have infinite scans. There's no missile turret or anything like that set up. Although there is a visual change as soon as Tunneling Claws finishes. So Tunneling Claws is about 2/3 or so of the way done. Just like back, like Bly used to do in the 90s, I'm sure. Those roaches are gonna gel their hair upwards, okay? They're gonna get little spikes. Those were the days. That is an indicator, though, that Clem needs to get something done. He wants to go down the ramp, and he is sort of achieving it. I think going for a starport is a good choice in these sort of scenarios. A little earlier than this. He wants to just go Metavex. But I think in games like this, going 1-1-1 into Banshee play is excellent. Brenda decided to burrow. Burrowed Brenda is what we used to call her. Anyways, I also think a Raven is very handy. He needs to be careful, though. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, there's the missile turret coming up. Tunneled Clawed Roaches, though, right on top of the tanks. Siege tanks on the high ground are starting to deal friendly fire. They made quick work of those siege tanks on the low ground. Is there enough, though, for the Zerg to actually win this fight? Okay. In the meantime, Bly may not have the worker count that Clem has, but he actually has a killer economy. Oh my god. Save Brenda! No! Oh, saving Private Brenda went wrong. Although she did poop a creep tumor out right before dying. That's nice. Strange death riddle, but to each their own. You know what? Brenda's final present is going to block the expansion. That's another scan. That's actually significant. That scan alone pays for Brenda. That pays for nearly 2 Brendas. You know what? Brenda may actually be the reason why this game continues. Because this expansion was supposed to be landed at this point. Okay. The creep spread, by the way, is looking pretty ridiculous. Also very strange. But yeah, we have some arms reaching back, some arms reaching forward, and once again, Bly trying to reach the siege tanks. If you like minced roach, I don't know if roaches are edible, but if you like it, I think this is the way to go. Because those siege tanks are grinding the meat. Okay, so Clem managed to secure a 3rd base. Interestingly enough, though, this was just a minute or 2 away from being a disaster for Clem, because his main base is running out. His natural expansion, or I guess his in-base expansion, also is running low. If Bly managed to continue that contain for just like 1 more Brenda cycle, 1 more Brenda death rattle, she would have been... She would have been MVP. Right now, though, I think this is barely okay for Clem. 16 SCVs have gone down, by the way, during all of that, which is quite significant, and that now allows Bly as an economical advantage. This is actually such a sick build, though, here from Bly. It's so weird, and it makes no sense. And I still don't think I favor him, just because Clem is Clem. But if you look at this game objectively right now, we're talking 70 workers, very nice upgrades for the Zerg. He's going Roach, Ravager, Infester. He's got Tunneling Claws. Terran is surrounded by creep. It doesn't happen often that Bly actually has an economical advantage. Let's see what he can do with it. It's so fun to me how we see like 12 Bly games every year. I'm not even exaggerating. There's like 12 Bly games every year. And somehow they all look like this. And he always says he's not playing at all. So he just sort of wings it and he just... I don't know. I guess it's like riding a bicycle. When you cheese enough, at some point you just know. Okay. Maybe he's doing one of those things though, where he says he doesn't practice. Because I've heard that many times. But I feel like it would be quite difficult for Bly to hide his practice games, you know? That was sweet. You're gonna know that you're playing against Bly. If you're playing a ladder game. And, you know, it's like a 6-point-something-K ZERG. As far as MMR goes. And all of the games look weird. You're gonna be able to figure it out really easily. Fungal! Woo! Not a bad one. Clem has gotten really good, by the way, at playing defensively. Although he needs to be careful. Siege tank's quite far forward. Fungal growth, do we still have one? We do, but it's a little too late. Siege tank on the high ground having a grand old time as well. Shelling away at wherever it can. Hive coming up right now with a Spire. So I think Bly wants to go into a greater Spire into Brute Lords. Sorry, what was that? We just saw something die. Did he just kill his own siege tank or like... Oh no, there's one roach. Bly purposely tunneled one roach forward and then unburrowed it to make sure that the other siege tanks would kill their friend. A little bit of friendly fire. I was wondering why the siege tank was bleeding. That explains it. Actually insane though. If this is what Bly looks like without practice, like imagine what he could actually do if he did practice a little bit, right? Because he seems to be able to go toe-to-toe with, well, the man who I consider to be the best Terran in the world. What I was trying to say though is Clem is very good at defensive play these days. This is like the one aspect of his play that you could criticize him in, I think. Maybe a year or two ago. I think Maru still is the strongest defensive Terran, but look at him. He's forcing those siege tanks to deal... That's one way to harass the Terran. You force the siege tanks to do friendly fire. That was like a dozen SCVs. Alright, well this is also an effective way of doing it. Yeah, I think this is actually a bit easier. So we're actually talking 24 SCV kills though. That's not bad. Clem only with 48. My main concern here is that Bly is not going to be capable of closing it out against Clem in a long macro game. Because Clem's ridiculous in that aspect. So the age of the Marine Marauder Medevac Siege Tank army is mostly over. We're now starting to mix in Vikings, Ghosts are here. We already saw Liberators being set up. Dude, he actually is killing loads of SCVs using his opponent's siege tanks. It's not to be underestimated. So even if Bly ends up losing a series like this, and I think he's pretty much always going to be on the back foot against, well, Clem, it's still kind of cool to see how there's so much variety in StarCraft 2 play that's actually possible. Like, if you look at high-level StarCraft, sometimes it kind of feels like everything is set in stone and you can't really do too much craziness, right? It kind of feels like there is one allowed way to play, and that is how everybody should be playing. But then you look at these games, you're like, wait a second, that is really not the case. Like, imagine if Bly was going up against anybody except, like, you know, one of the world's best. I think he would have won this game by now. Quite handily, too. Okay, so. It's been a 2-base contain that turned into a 3-base contain that turned into a 4-base contain. Can Bly deny a 5th? The next expansion for Terran will likely be over here on the low ground. I don't think he wants to aim for this expansion all the way up north, because that one feels like it's miles away. Or, I mean, sorry, kilometers away. kilometers? I don't know. Anyways. Feels like it's a while away. Brute Lords are gonna be pretty sick. I'm actually a little surprised we don't see Lurkers. Like, if the main goal is to try and contain, should we not be going Lurkers instead? This is gonna be... yeah, this is gonna be quite painful. A lot of dead roaches. $112. That's the emergency number in the Netherlands right there. If you dial 112 roach. Well, you don't have to dial the roaches themselves. You get the emergency services. Very nice. See, I like this better for Bly when Terran was still stuck on 2 bases. I then liked it quite a bit too when Clem was stuck on 3. 4 is very dangerous. Now, this is honestly the power play right here from Clem, right? He's gonna have to go down to that low ground, and securing that base is gonna be a tough one. Ultras, by the way, are coming. There is a cheeky little burrowed roach. Papa Roach is what we call that guy. Oof, okay. Yeah, problem is with 4 base economy here, Clem can easily max out, right? And that's what he's done. He's maxed out, he's got 3-3 research. In the meantime, of course, we have those 2 upgrades coming. We're just getting a little bit of everything here. Clem really has, well, he's become a big fan of this turtley style, right? And this very laid-back approach. It's not his go-to, but he's more than happy to employ it if he feels like that is the goal. Okay. Gets the cancel on that expansion. I wonder if Bly could try and go for a big attack. It's just that he knows that there's a lot of choke points, and he knows it's going to be very difficult to overwhelm all of these Terran bases. This is apparently also the moment, by the way, where Clem is actually going for, like, mass expand. So he is feeling quite confident, it seems. Or at the very least, this seems like a confident play. Yeah, one of the very first campaign missions for StarCraft 2's Wings of Liberty is surviving against the ZERG for 30 minutes. Right? And then at some point, Matthew Horner comes to pick you up with the battlecruiser. That's basically what Clem is doing here. Survive for 30 minutes against the ZERG swarm, and at some point Matthew Horner will come and save you. Well, this has been a far more complex mission than that one in the Wings of Liberty campaign. But it looks like Clem is managing. Ultras are coming. Which is a... yeah, I don't like Ultras. Honestly, I think most late-game Zerg units are kind of bad at the moment. All of these units get countered by Liberators and Ghosts. And that's exactly what Clem has been producing. There's also a gajillion Siege Tanks out, and those are also really good. There's also Thors, which are also good against that sort of thing. So honestly, in a straight-up fight, Clem is going to destroy this Zerg army. And even though Bly does have a very nice worker count, it is still... he doesn't have money to just throw away army like this, though. Well, if you're not so keen on minced roach, what about minced ultralisk? My god. That was the most cost-efficient fight ever. And that's also, for those of you wondering why Bly did not commit to a fight earlier, that is exactly the reason why. Clem's spirit animal is definitely the turtle. Yeah. I don't know what year he was born, but it was probably the year of the turtle. I believe I was born in the year of the monkey, which explains a lot. I am a bit of a monkey. Problem is for Zerg, right? In the late game, what exactly do you... what do you play as Zerg? Like, I don't even really know. It's actually quite tricky, it seems. With Cyril going to the military, we need a Zerg savior, you know? We need somebody to show us the way. Because it seems like Terrans really are, at the highest level, starting to beat Zergs quite handily. It is interesting, though. If you look at the current tournament results, it seems like not a lot of Zerg players are doing very well. But I also don't think at the same time anybody would be surprised if Cyril shows up at any of the premier events, if he gets time off of his military service, and he just wins. That's very possible. With Dallas on the horizon, and then also, I don't know if he's going to be able to play. It's the same for the EWC, the Esports World Cup, in August, I think. It seems like across the board, Zerg is struggling a little bit. But I don't think anybody would be surprised if Cyril shows up for those events and just smashes the competition. Everybody's like, yep, Zerg's still overpowered. They've been trying for years to balance the game around that man. Anyways, yeah, at this point, Clem is playing with his food. That's what we're looking at. Bly is super dead. He had something really good going in this game. I really liked what he was previously pulling off when he had the Terran contained. Main problem right here for Clem is that he can't really read the game very easily. Because this is not one of those games you've played before. It is very different than any other match he probably has ever played. So, gauging his current spot in the game and his current situation is difficult. So I think he'll probably play this quite slow. Because he doesn't really know. Like, this could easily be a game where Zerg is once more maxed out right now with like 10,000 resources in the bank. Bly never really had that worker count. But, yeah, Clem doesn't know that. Generally, the best unit composition against a mass ghost-based army is Hydraling Bane. Hydraling Bane is very good. Fungal Growth can be very handy. But it's kind of difficult because Hydraling Bane is very much so a mid-game army. And obviously it's not just ghosts, right? Clem is also mixing in loads of other stuff. Ever since the Baneling HP nerf, a lot of Terrans have been favoring a more bio-focused late game. So for quite a long while actually, in the last couple years of the game, that mech-based ghost army, right? Like that ghost mech force, that used to be the gold standard. But ever since the Baneling nerf, it seems like a lot of Terrans are favoring a much more mobile army now. Well, here come the Ultras. Can they get an engagement? Clem actually slow pushing wonderfully here, by the way, with those missile turrets. Doing an amazing job controlling this army here. Ay. He's even building a command center right outside of where his opponent's 4th base is. Well, actually, normally this would be the 4th base. I think for Bly, this was actually 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this must have been a 6th. His expansion pattern was a little weird in this game, but... Now, what if this is ultimately just, though, the long play by the Zerg Cabal, right? Because the Esports World Cup, for the very first time, has a $1 million prize pool. Now, what if Zerg, right? What if Cyril, mastermind of the Zerg Cabal, is actually purposely starting his military service right now, just so they can still squeeze in a couple of buffs right before the biggest prize pool ever? Has anybody considered that? Because I've been hearing about the Zerg Cabal this, the Zerg Cabal that for a very long time now. What if this is all? Yeah. What if this is all just pointing in that only direction? I've got my tinfoil hat on right now. Now, it does seem like Zerg is struggling a little bit more. But then again, the vast majority of tournaments has been won over the last couple of years by Zergs. Also, I think the current maps are actually really good for Terran. That is something that's a little bit harder to quantify, I guess. It's not as much fun as saying, ghost, right? It's not as easy. But the maps definitely are really good for Terran. Happy to see Protoss doing better, though. You know, as a Zerg player, I don't really play a ton of 1v1 at the moment, right? Because I feel like when I do play too much 1v1, I become a very biased commentator. But I can still feel the pain right there. Every time I see those Every time I see those snipes connect with the Ultras, I just hurt a little bit. Yeah, I want to believe in the... I want to believe in the Ultralisk, man, but they really do feel like... Oh, that is so bad. No, I hate everything about that fight. GG is cold. It's Clem who wins game number 2 after being pretty much dead in the water at like minute 5. Next up, we find ourselves on Alcyone. Alcyone. Alcu1. I think Alcyone is the coolest one by far. Yeah. Alcu1 is just straight up wrong. Alcyone, I guess I'm on board with that one. Fair enough. Hey, it's another game of Bly going up against anybody, though. So what are we doing this time around, Bly? Ah. Of course. Of course. Right. Yes. Naturally, we go for the gold base first. Do we go for this one or do we go for... We're going... Yeah, of course. Why take your own gold base when you can take your opponent's? Yeah, why indeed? What's the advantage of taking this base? Well, you can obviously walk to your opponent's side of the map really easily. I love, by the way, how Clem is just chilling here. He's not really too concerned with changing up his playstyle too much. Like, yeah, he's playing pretty defensive. He's not going any quick triple CC shenanigans. But he's really just hanging out. He's not sending an SCV right at the very start of the game to try and figure out what's happening right from the get-go. He's probably assuming that something fishy is going on. I hope he's gonna check. He's probably gonna check this one. Yeah, exactly. This is what Terrans usually do. They check for the other gold base, and they try and scout it from the other side of the minerals. But sadly, SCVs are like horses with blinders on, you know? They can't see very far. Ah, it's a hatch first. Ah, thank God. It's a normal hatchery first. And never mind. You know what? You can obviously go for the Roach Warren once again. Yeah, exactly. Because when you knock down the debris over here, you are pretty close by. Clem is checking all the bases. Okay, yeah, now he's finally thinking about it. The scariest thing a StarCraft 2 player can do while they're playing the game is think. And Bly certainly is forcing his opponent to think. Sorry, that drone was like, no, I'm not, no, it's fine. Look at this acting drone over here. It's like, oh, there was no, buddy, I was doing, no. Wasn't doing anything weird. All right, well, I thought we were gonna use these rocks, but that's not what we're doing at all. I hate it whenever I get caught like that, trying to just mind my own business. Mind my own 5 minerals. Clem trying to bait out the creep tumor here. Didn't quite get it. Well, now he's gonna get it, but no way you can really scout it. Okay, Brenda's gonna start working right here at the debris. So it's essentially the same game again, right? Hard to judge, though, how committed ZERG is going to be. Because last games, we did see a bunch of roaches, but now Bly actually already made some additional drones. Yeah, we have a few drones working away here. I don't mind it. I don't think he really wants to produce too much at home. Exactly. The main base is just going to be for Overlord production for now. And that's what makes this quite difficult here for Mr. Clem. Clem, once again, by the way, just not going starport. Very late starport and focusing primarily on just the second barracks. It's an interesting choice, too. Okay. Natural expansion coming up for Bly. Yeah, so he's really just treating this like an outpost. He's just using this as a way to mine. In a very strange way, we're just doing a 2-base contain again. Yeah, back in the day, we used to like surround cities and stuff. Try and starve them out. Human armies have been doing that for many, many years. Basically, Bly is doing the same thing in StarCraft now. We're just chilling here. We're trying to make sure that Terran can't really leave. And obviously, Clem is happy to play this, though. He's not really... Yeah, he's not really capable of doing much here. Like, he's gonna be forced to play defensively until he gets a starport going. He can dance with some of the ZERG units, fair enough. Ooh, now that was a lovely little siege tank shot. Good work right here. Yeah, Bly a little overextended. He doesn't see the siege tanks until he gets shot at. So he didn't really know what he's playing against. I'm gonna have to transfer some workers though, Bly. 27 drones there is a bit much. It's very interesting to play a strategy that looks hyper-aggressive and then play it defensively instead. Usually whenever we see cheese like this, it is committed all-ins, right? We see a cheese where ZERG is trying to go ahead and win. But that's not really what Bly is doing. He is happily macroing here while going for a cheese and then again spreading creep from this very forward location. It kind of goes against, though, what most ZERG players learn from a very young age, okay? Most ZERG players, here's what young ZERG players learn, okay? Just when they're like toddlers or something. Usually you learn, okay, there's a moment for droning and then there's a moment for making army. The idea is pretty simple. The more workers you make earlier, the more army you will end up with. So usually one of the cardinal sins of playing a ZERG macro game is to make some units and then some army, and then some units and then some army, and then a couple of drones and then some, right? That's usually what you don't want to do. And that's exactly what Bly has been doing this entire series. He's making a bunch of units and then he's making a bunch of drones. And usually that is a horrible thing to do, but he's making it happen here because he seems to realize how much he roughly needs. It's a really cool playstyle. It's clear that it's definitely making this game much harder here for Clem. Now, I also feel like Clem is making it harder for himself, though, by not ever playing a Banshee. He usually loves playing that Banshee-based army, but he's purposely going for a second barracks. It's really stretching this strategy out. Okay, he's already begun the slow push towards the third base here. In the previous game, he did that right around, like, I think 8 minutes or so of in-game time, but now he's been doing this for about a minute already, which makes it all a little bit better than it was on post-youth. Now, I know Terrans always tell me it's impossible to make a Raven, but is it really worth scanning 17 times to get rid of all of that creep? It's not, man. I feel like if we're gonna make a Raven, we may as well have made a Banshee, right? I don't want to pretend like I know the game better than Clem, but it really always is a bit of a scratcher for me when I'm like, why did we... Do we really need to scan 17 million times here? Give or take 17 million. Could be more, could be less, who knows? Tunneling Claws, by the way, once again coming up. Burrow once again coming up. Already though, Clem has decided to go for a nice and early missile turret. Baneling Nest. Alright. If you see the missile turret, do you still want to commit? He hasn't seen it, but do you still want to commit to Tunneling Claws here? It always seems like a dangerous decision. Can you hit that mineral line? If you scoot the siege tank over. Yeah, I think if you scoot the siege tank over, you can at least hit the gas. Don't think you can hit the mineral line, but... Bly just raining a couple of vials, making it difficult for the Terran to advance. Here's another scan. Now, if there is a world where this turns into a full-on split map scenario, mining out your opponent's, or at least like half of the opponent's golden minerals is actually kind of sick. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think Clem is really aiming for the game to go on that long. But I'm liking this position more and more for him. It's clear that he's adjusting as well from map to map. Going around, grabbing whatever he can. Okay. I think he unburrowed the wrong clump. I think he was supposed to unburrow those. Yeah. Does he have a scan? Oh, he does. Yeah. Yeah, it's an issue for Bly. All the top tier Terrans have been very good over the last year when it comes to playing this defensive style. A year ago, not very popular. Maru was playing it, but these days we have guys like Clem, obviously. Cure is very good at it. Beyond is very good at it. Basically, all the top level Terrans are all very good at playing that turtle style now. And that may be an indirect nerf here for Bly. Now, I think Bly is onto something though, because in a lot of these games he's creating a massive opportunity for himself, but then he's not quite closing it out, right? Like he's not quite pivoting away at the correct moment. But I wonder if there is a way to play this and then just play a macro game on the back of it, because that is effectively what Bly has been doing here. It's just that that transition has been relatively messy. Yeah. Now he's playing a macro game against, well, Clem. You can already tell here by the supply count that life is looking pretty good for Clem. We have the command centers coming up. Bly has had a lot of money in the bank here for quite a while. So I think he's just not very practiced when it comes to playing the macro match. I can imagine a lot of his victims probably would have already rolled over at this point and they already would have lost, but yeah. It kind of feels like, for example, the hive timing here is kind of random. At least compared to the previous game, we didn't really have a very set timing on that one either, so it kind of feels like we're just kind of winging it from here on out. But I wonder if maybe Bly's follow-up, if that one was a little bit more structured. And it was actually thoroughly practiced. I think there's actually a lot of potential with this particular opener, as weird as it is. I don't think this is really like the quote-unquote perfectly played version of the early game here. The way it's spreading creep backwards is actually really strong too. Okay. Fusion core coming up. Got ourselves a armory. Is that the first armory? No way. I was gonna say, that'd be crazy. We already have 3-3 researching. I guess we're gonna get some more mechanical upgrades, probably for the probably for the liberators. Or we could go, you know what? I want to believe. We could go battle cruisers. It depends on what that new starport is gonna grow. I'm assuming this will just be a good old... we do have a big push over here, by the way. Ooh, you know what? Okay, I'm actually gonna back up for just a moment. This is actually really well done here by Bly. So he drags the entire Terran army to the top left. He's parked his entire ZERG force over here, right outside of the missile turret, or the vision tower radius, rather. And this is kind of what I was trying to decide in the previous game. Would it have been an... I think this would have been a good decision in the previous game, too. Because he was significantly ahead on post youth, and then he never really committed to a big fight. I think there was opportunity for that. So this was an excellent engagement. Now suddenly 7 ultras on the back of this. Why actually unable to really max out. He does still have a lot of larva. Okay. It could be battlecruiser play, by the way, but I don't think it will be. I think this is just going to be for Liberator ranged. And then a bunch of Liberators. Very difficult unit for Bly at this point to counter, but there aren't a whole lot of them yet. Yeah. We have 7 Ultras before chitinous plating. That is, not good. You definitely don't want to fight without Ultras chitinous plating. It's horrible without it. That's actually one of those upgrades that really doesn't really do anything for me. Remember how at some point in StarCraft 2's history they decided to get rid of, like, quote-unquote useless upgrades? Like, for example, the one that we had for the... that we had for the carrier, and there's a couple of options like that. Because for the carrier, for example, you would never play it without the interceptor upgrade. You would never play it, so they kind of just baked it into the unit. Gotta feel like the Ultra is a very similar unit. It's pretty much never played without chitinous plating. I think what they did at the time was, like, they basically messed around with the timings of the unit to produce and then the timing of the structures to produce, and they just sort of baked the upgrade in. I wouldn't mind seeing something similar for the Ultra. Because chitinous plating, for all intents and purposes, a useless upgrade. Because it's so important. The Ultra is useless without it. Okay. Good surround right there. Clem is gobbling up the entire left side of the map, though. Greater Spire coming up once more. Yeah, I like in theory what Bly is doing. So he's quickly transitioning from a ground-based army into an air-based army. Ultraling Bane is strong, of course. Brute Lords are also pretty strong. It's just that they get countered by the same army. That's kind of the issue that Bly is running into here. Like, he's quickly doing those tech transitions, but, like, it gets countered by Ghosts and Liberators, right? Both of those unit compositions get countered by Ghosts and Liberators. If Clem sees one Brute Lord, he's gonna make, like, 2 rounds of Vikings, and he's gonna be pretty good about it all. So, in theory, I think the transition's strong. But in reality, it doesn't matter here for Clem. He'll be more than happy to play against either Ultras or Brute Lords. So, 9 Ultras are coming. It's the same for like lurkers though. So yeah. This combination of Clem's units right here is very good against basically any late game army that ZERG currently produces. So Clem is looking to make the Iron Bank here. We're already at 9 orbital commands, and we have 3 more command centers done with 1 more building. So we're basically going about a dozen orbital commands. At which point Terran can essentially give away most of their SCVs and just max out on like 150, 160-ish supply for army. And in my mind, right, and I've mentioned this many times, in my mind, this isn't even like the ultimate form of the Terran late game yet. We never see Ravens in the late game, man. I know the Infestor just got nerfed with its, you know, ranged and stuff, but like, for the fungal growth coming out of nowhere and stuff, but I really wonder if maybe Ravens would have been a good addition against that army. I guess you don't need it. Oh my lord. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. Okay. Good number of SCVs do fall. No more detection available though for the ZERG, and ultimately that army is gonna have to retreat. Yeah, in theory, I guess Ravens are a bit of a wasted unit. Anti-armor missile is nice, but these fights don't usually last long enough for that really to be relevant. And obviously, if you have a gajillion orbital commands, and you have missile turrets and stuff, you should have detection regardless of where you go. Yeah. Bly's very best choice against this sort of army, and the way we usually see Zerg players winning the late game against Terran, is by mining more than half the map. So the cost efficiency for the Zerg army is just not there. You can tell here with the resources lost that Bly has lost way much, but he's also had a lot more of the map available to him. I wonder if Bly should have been playing this off of like 90 workers instead. So he could just remax this. Look at him just running through all of those liberation zones. Trying to get on top of those ghosts, or ghosts rather, desperately. Ay, 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 ay. Ultras derping into one another. Pew, 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 pew. We're not even cloaking them, by the way. He could still cloak them. There's no detection here for the Zerg. Just cloak him, Clem. Cloak him, Clem. Sounds like a tongue twister. We don't cloak him. Nah. Nah, we don't cloak him. You know, the problem with cloaking your ghost is that it would take up energy that would otherwise go to snipes. So, you didn't need to. Now we have a Brute Lord transition cooking up right here for Bly. Problem is, this army is good against that too! It's a bit of a theme. Hey, you know what? If this gold base, though, is the one that's gonna be the deciding factor here in the end, I think we've got something on our hands then, you know? Because Bly mined this one at like minute 2. How many ghosts are we on? 21. Jeez. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good unit. It's actually quite an interesting interaction. When they first nerfed the Baneling about a half year ago, this wasn't really one of the interactions a lot of people in the community talked about. It was all about like killing Protoss Zealots and stuff, but I actually think the interaction between Banelings in the late game against Ghosts in the late game really helps out Terran here. Okay. Bly still, though, has control of most of the map. He's got 89 workers right now. I think he should take one of these bases. Is he oversaturated in some of his bases? I feel like... Where are all those drones? He's got 89 drones. Are they just spread out? Where are the 89 drones? I feel like this doesn't add up to 89. He just made more. Nah, maybe it does add up to 89. He's just got them spread out all over the map. Okay. Yeah. I think taking this base is a good idea. So effectively what Bly is doing is he's trying to create, just like he's been doing in the previous game, is in a very strange way, he's creating a siege on his opponent. Just try to only allow X amount of bases and then, well, have like 3 more than your opponent yourself. Clem, on the other hand, trading very cost efficiently, so he is trying to create a split map scenario. Not really dedicating to the top left-hand corner and the bottom right at the same time. Just sort of pushing one and then taking the other. Slowly gobbling up as much as he can. I wonder if he's getting carried away, by the way, with the command center situation. I know he's lost a bunch, but he's made like 20 command centers this game. 20 command centers is like, what, 8,000 resources alone? And then also on top of that, the orbital commands and everything. It adds up. That is like the only thing that I don't love here for Clem. Maybe it's actually good. I just can't quite tell. I feel like recently Terrans have gotten a little crazy with the... No, dude, no. It's too many, man. I feel like top-level Terrans are getting a little nuts with the amount of CCs they make. But then again, if you drop a round of mules here and you keep scanning as much as he has been, he can mine out and check out the entire map very easily. That's huge thing. Can reach that base. Pew, 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 pew. Fungal. Oh, big EMP. Wonderful EMP right there by Clem. Ah, Clem is looking monstrous in the late game, dude. I don't even know what you do. This is not an army. No. This looks like a late game army for ZERG, but it's not. This is late game trash is what this is. It's really bad. Nothing here is good. I hate everything about this ZERG army, if I'm being really honest with you. Like, in theory, all of it has its place, but realistically, none of this is any good. Okay, we have one. Oh, Clem instantly countered it. Yeah. Really well done right here by the French Terran. Looking dominant, honestly. I think the vast majority of Terrans just would have lost by now. This wave after wave after wave of ZERG. I really think, though, the first, like, 10 minutes or so of every game that Bly's been playing in the series looked amazing. I mean, maybe not game number 1, because that one was GG at, like, minute 8. But still, you know? Like, overall, I think his openers are really good. With a little asterisk right next to it. It's just that the transition away from that early game is not quite as tidy as I would like to see it. I also think Clem just has him out-controlled in the late game. Really hard. Yeah. It's fun, though, to see this, like, very different style of Clem. Because normally Clem is very much so 700 APM, drop all over the map, hit your opponent at 7 angles at once, parade push through the center. This is, like, polar opposite of what we normally see. I mean, obviously, Clem has worked a lot on this strategy over the last year, but it's been, it's pretty obvious here that he's gotten very comfortable with it. So, Bly is starting to take control of one of these bases here from the Terran, or what we would consider to be one of the bases of the Terran. However, Clem is doing the same thing. There's a lot of missile turrets. Yeah, I don't think you can fight this Terran army with this ZERG army. I'm not exactly sure what you do play, but I don't think this is it. I don't think Ultras here have any place, to be honest. Ultras are, like, they're gonna get stuck on missile turrets. Another command center is built at the front line. I wonder if, maybe if Bly made like 100+ workers, and then he plays this swarmy approach, if it's at that point possible. Killing this planetary is irrelevant. It's gonna be costly for Bly to pull it off, and it doesn't do anything because there's no mining. So this is strategically just not a play. That was a little bit of a ZERG tantrum right there. You're taking my bases? I'm gonna take one of yours! It doesn't do anything, Bly. But sure. That was expensive, though, because he ended up losing basically all of his stuff again. He can remax 18 Broodlord cocoons. Clem is scanning everywhere, trying to find the ZERG army. How many Vikings are we on? We're at 10 Vikings, 25 Ghosts. I don't think 18... I don't think this army is gonna do that much either, but I like it better than the Ultras, though. That is a lot. And they are pretty decently upgraded, too. Here go the Vikings. Oh, there's almost enough Vikings to one-shot this. They're just about to finish ship weapons level 2, which should be enough Vikings to one-shot it. Spellcaster control here from Bly needs to be really good. I think he also needs a load of Spore Crawlers. Okay. So if you get a fungal on the Ghosts, and the Spore Crawlers can keep the Vikings pushed back, I think it's okay. Parasitic Bomb, okay, not bad. Great split right there from Clem. Great control in general from Clem. High-sec auto-tracking just finished up. That's the +1 range from missile turrets and planetaries. Yes, they have an upgrade. Ghost trying to run from the Banelings, but this cost efficiency here from Clem is just absolutely nuts. Splitting against the fungal growth as well is phenomenal. There's no spores here to support this Zerg army, and that means now cloaking gets activated after all of those overseers died. That means that Bly just got wiped off the map. Honestly, the patience here from Clem is ridiculous. Yeah, Clem played this all so incredibly well. Alright, so this is looking like the expected result. I think a lot of people would have guessed a 3-0 lead for Clem. A 3-0 win for Clem, but there's no denying that Bly really did bring the heat. And I really like what he's doing, honestly. It's just... yeah, he's doing it against Clem. So Bly has got no more gas. All he can remax right now is Queens, Spore Crawlers, Zerglings. Maybe Spine Crawlers. Clem's cost efficiency has been amazing, by the way. Look at that. Oh, 24,000 minerals more lost. More than 10,000 extra gas lost by the Zerg. We always have Medivacs close by to try and pick up those units. GG is cold. It's ultimately Clem who obtains the victory, but what a fantastic series.